I want to bring in Minneapolis City Council member Aurin Chowdhury. Great to have you with us. Just for my audience's benefit to know where you're coming from, do you believe there is a legitimate role in any time in the city of Minneapolis for ICE enforcement actions?
I think the way that ICE has behaved and the recklessness in which they treat our immigrant neighbors, our community members, citizens, they have completely eroded their legitimacy. I think ICE is being used by this administration to create mass harm and fear, violation of people's constitutional rights, and I find it illegitimate. And it is absolutely shameful. It's a shameful period in our country. And Minneapolis, we are really struggling, but all of our neighbors are coming together and we're holding tight to each other and we're standing up for our immigrant neighbors. We are
A-
making sure that we're keeping each other safe.
As you well know, the nation will mark Martin Luther King Jr. holiday on Monday. What role, if any, do you believe civil disobedience ought to play in what's going on vis-a-vis the community in Minneapolis and federal immigration police?
It is our duty as Americans to use our First Amendment rights to stand up to injustice and to hold our government accountable. And that's exactly what Minnesotans and Minneapolis residents are doing. That's what our press is doing. We are bringing light to the fact that this invasion by ICE is sowing chaos, is harming everyday people. We're seeing kids at school fearful that ICE is going to come onto school property. Just that same day when Renee Good was murdered, I saw at a high school in my district, ICE officers descend onto public school property and fire chemical irritants in the direction of teenage kids. Just the other day when another person was shot in North Minneapolis, there was a family driving home from their kid's basketball game, and a flashbang went into their car, and their car was with filled with the gas that they were putting out there, and their child was harmed. So it now is absolutely a time marked in history where Minneapolis residents and Minnesotans are speaking up, and to the nation, this is your moment to speak up as well. Because if it can happen here, it can happen across the country. And the federal government is trying to make an example of us, but we are going to continue to resist. We're going to use our First Amendment right. We're going to peacefully assemble, and we're going to take care of each other. And we're going to say that ICE needs to get out of our city and our state immediately and needs to be held accountable for violating the rule of law, for violating the Constitution.
Councilmember Chowdhury, federal immigration officials say they are being threatened, impeded, and disrupted in their pursuit of carrying out federal immigration law. How do you respond to that?
How I respond to that is we have 3,000 ICE agents in our city streets indiscriminately stopping people for the color of their skin. I'm a daughter of immigrants. I'm a United States citizen. And yet today, as a sitting councilwoman, I have a whistle around my neck and a passport in my coat pocket to prove that I am a citizen, to prove that I should not be arrested. And for people without status, they are being targeted and taken without any due process. Their homes are being broken into and families are being torn apart. ICE agents and the federal government are the ones that are being reckless. This is not who who our nation should be. This is not what Minneapolis is. And we were peaceful. We were taking care of each other. Crime was down in our city before they came in. And now, at the top of the year, we have had 4 shootings, and 2 of them have been because of ICE. And so any allusion to the any allusion that ICE is saying that our community is causing mass disruption and that they're the root of violence is absolute propaganda. The root of violence is ICE, as evidenced by the murder of Renee Good, as evidenced by pregnant women being dragged out of their car, as evidenced by United States citizens being detained and then mocked by ICE agents and saying slurs about Renee Good and saying you should have learned from that lesson.
You use the term, Madam Councilwoman, uh, murder in relation to Renee Good. That is a specific legal term. Why did you use that?
Because I believe it is murder. There should absolutely be a process and an investigation that's independent, which I wholeheartedly believe. But as a citizen, as a council member, what I saw with my own eyes and the information that has come out about the shots and fired at Renee Good, it was an intentional killing in my view. And I believe it to be murder, and so do Minneapolis residents, many Minneapolis residents and many Minnesotans. And I
Before I let
don't use that term lightly.
Before I let you go, Council Member Chowdhury, sketch out what you hope will happen this weekend, what you fear might actually happen.
I mean, I am fearful that ICE will continue to act with impunity and continue to hurt my neighbors. Right now, it's our moms, our public educators, members of our clergy, our imams that are out here trying to take care of each other, trying to take care of each other, trying to alert each other of actions that could harm our neighbors. And I'm fearful that that will continue and that we will lose another life. And that is exactly why this needs to end. What gives me hope is that Minnesota is a cold place, but we have people here with warm hearts. And Minnesota nice is absolutely a thing. But what we're seeing actively is Minnesota grit. There has never been more solidarity between the people in our community. People are lending a hand out to make sure that families are fed, families are housed, that we are talking to each other, that we're checking in. And in a moment right now, as a city of Minneapolis, we're calling for an eviction moratorium because we want to make sure people don't get displaced in a time that feels and is an emergency. And so I'm grateful for the coming together. I know I will see more of that this next weekend, but I am fearful for the impunity and recklessness in which ICE agents act. And I ask other leaders across the nation to call for accountability, to call for ICE to leave Minnesota and other cities and states throughout the nation. And I thank the 50 plus Congress people that came to Minnesota today for a hearing in our Senate building to hear from our residents, to hear from our elected leaders about what's happening here.
Minneapolis City Council Member Aurin Chowdhury, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.